We begin in 1991. China's communist neighbor, the Soviet Union, collapses. One of the world's two superpowers simply ceases to exist. Why? Because its economy wasn't flexible, its political system was rigid, and when Gorbachev introduced his reforms, the system could not withstand them and collapsed. China decided to take a different approach, open up the economy, leave the political system untouched. No multi-party system, the Communist Party remains in charge. But at the same time, markets, trade, foreign investment. This is what became known as Chinese model, authoritarian politics combined with the market economy. And it works, no matter who criticize it. Then Americans and Europeans enter the picture. They look at China and see a gold mine. Imagine your own factory in Ohio where a worker earns $15 per hour. In China, the same worker earns 50 cents for the same job. On top of that, no labor unions, no environmental restrictions, no labor inspections. And the government itself builds the roads and ports needed to ship your products. Western corporations began moving their manufacturing to China on a massive scale. Nike, Apple, General Electric, Boeing, they all did. At first, China simply provided cheap labor for making basic goods, toys, clothes, shoes, then electronics, then complex industrial components, then entire factories. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization. This was a pivotal moment. Now, Chinese goods could be sold around the world with minimal tariffs. Exports exploded. Over the next 10 years, China became the world's largest exporter, surpassing Germany. And what's inside the country? Infrastructure development accelerates on a scale unlike anything in the world. China has built more high-speed rail than the rest of the world combined, over 40,000 kilometers, and speed goes up to 350 kilometers per hour. Some of the world's largest ports, Shanghai, Ningbo, Shenzhen, are in China, and some of the world's largest airports are built in China. Every few years, entirely new megacities rise from scratch. Of all this, cheap labor, foreign capital, and massive state investment in infrastructure created an economic boom without precedent in modern history. Between 1980 and 2020, China's GDP grew roughly in 40 times. Nearly 1 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. That is more than the entire population of the United States, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom combined. But industrial growth requires resources. Oil, gas, metals, coal. And this is where China found a key partner, Russia, a vast country with enormous reserves of everything industry needs. Sharing a 1,000 kilometers long border with China, Russia supplies China with resources while China exports manufactured goods. They begin building pipelines, trade routes. Their economies became increasingly integrated, deepening economic ties. When the West imposed sanctions on Russia, China became even more important as a partner. And that's good for China. Cheap resources are secured for the long term, while China itself has become the dominant player in the Russian market. For a long time, people said that China could copy but not invent. Maybe that was true in 1990s, but not anymore. Huawei is one of the world's largest telecommunication equipment manufacturers, so influential that the United States placed the company on a blacklist and banned American firms from selling its chips. When country targets your technology company like this, it is seen as a real threat. In 2023, BYD surpassed Tesla in global electric vehicle sales. Chinese EVs flooded European markets so extensively that the European Union imposed special tariffs to protect domestic manufacturers. German automakers, once global leaders, are now defending their positions against Chinese competition. And what about TikTok? It is owned by Chinese company ByteDance. This app is used by 1.5 billion people worldwide. The United States has tried for years to ban it because of its influence over public opinion in the US. China is now the world's largest producer of solar panels, controlling around 80% of the global market. It is also the largest producer of batteries and is building more nuclear reactors than the rest of the world combined. It has successfully deployed the rover on the far side of the moon, the first country ever to do so. China is no longer merely the world's factory. It is a genuine global technological power. And this is where tensions begin. For decades, the United States used China as a cheap manufacturing base. It benefited everyone. Americans got inexpensive goods, while China got jobs and technology. But China stopped being just a factory. It became a competitor. The tariff war under Trump and technology sanctions under Biden reflected the realization that China was moving beyond the role of junior partner and laying claim to global leadership. The United States and Europe themselves helped create the very power they now fear. The dragon rose up. Taiwan. China considers the island to be its own territory. Why do the United States guarantee its defense and refuse to give it up? Because Taiwan produces the biggest part of the world's most advanced computer chips. TSMC is a Taiwanese company that makes processors for iPhone, Google servers, and American military systems. Whoever controls Taiwan controls the global semiconductor industry. That's exactly why the United States reacts so strongly to any Chinese pressure on Taiwan. So how did China become a superpower? The first reason is its enormous advantages China has always had: a massive population, the world's largest labor force, a vast territory rich in resources, and a strategic position along key trade routes. China has always had this, even when it was poor. The second reason: the right reforms at the right time. Deng Xiaoping opened the country to markets and foreign investment. He gave farmers economic freedom and fed the country. He created special economic zones and attracted Western corporations. He reformed the economy while leaving politics unchanged. The third reason: Western corporations brought capital and technology. China used them, learned from them, copied them, and then improved them. The fourth reason: the government invested in infrastructure on a scale no other country had. Roads, ports, railways, energy. That reduced production and logistics costs for everyone. The fifth reason: the partnership with Russia provided cheap resources. On top of that, China has a huge domestic market, which by itself is already larger than the economies of most countries. Together, these factors created an economic miracle that lifted China from poverty to the top of the global economy in just 40 years. But here's the question few people dare to ask out loud. What comes next? China is running out its most important resource: people. The one-child policy introduced in 1980 helped prevent mass poverty, but its consequences are now clear. The birth rate has collapsed. The population is aging. In 2022, China recorded its first population decline in 60 years. In 4 years, it lost around 6 million people. India has now overtaken China in population. According to demographic projections, by the end of the 21st century, China could lose a third or even half of its population. That means a smaller workforce, fewer consumers, and more retirees who need to be supported. On top of that, youth unemployment in China has reached record highs. Economic growth is slowing. The real estate market is in crisis. Evergrande, the country's largest property developer, went bankrupt with 300 billion in debt. Western companies are gradually moving manufacturing to Vietnam, India, and Mexico, places where it's cheaper and safer. The authoritarian system that once helped China grow so quickly is now increasingly stifling innovation. Private companies no longer feel secure. At any moment, the state can step in and say, "We're in charge now." China is a genuine global power with real technology, real military, and a real economy. History offers plenty of examples of seemingly unshakable powers collapsing faster than expected, especially when they lose the resource they depend on most. For China, this resource is people. Will China maintain its influence by the end of this century, or will we witness the decline of another great power? That is a question no one knows the answer to yet. But one thing is already clear: this story is far from over. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and stay tuned for the next one. They'll be just as interesting.